Ain't got no boundaries to hold me back. Boundaries is what I lack. Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Conflation Station. Hop on board the next train out, and let's take a ride to a place where anything's possible.
Hello and welcome to the Conflation Station. My name is Hugo Yorway and I'll be your tour guide for today's podcast, including political commentary, conspiracy theories, and some cool music from the Electric Glove Orchestra. At the Conflation Station, our team of creative writers and novice journalists combine elements of irony, satire, and pure absurdity to create insightful political commentary and homespun conflated conspiracy theories taken from today's news headlines. In the first segment of our show, known as the 14th Circuit, or what I like to call the Court of Public Opinion, renowned raconteur the Reverend Rusty Stubblefield shares his unfiltered and unhinged views about America's constitutional crisis. His topic this week is the Constitutional Convention. Rusty, the microphone is all yours.
Well, thank you, Hugo. You know our current commander-in-chief? That feller from New York City who's turning the US of A upside down and inside out? Well, that there feller, he gets a whole lot of credit for knowing how to make a deal. But his aptitude for making deals ain't nothing when compared to the deal-making shit that was going on 250 years ago when our wig-wearing founding fathers convinced those 13 upstart rebellious colonies to unite and throw out the King of England and form these here United States of America. Heck, they even got a gal named Betsy Ross to sew up a flag with 13 stars and stripes on it to create the first American brand. I apologize. I digress. Well, anyway, the founding fathers knew that they'd have to cut some big deals with each individual colony in order for them to agree to be part of one big-ass country called the United States of America. Now, can you imagine all the negotiating that went on to make that shit happen? But through their perseverance, lots of backroom politics, and plenty of bloodshed, they was able to get her done. Most consequential of the deals that was cut was a deal where each one of them their colonies was able to keep its own government. While they had the common interest of overthrowing the King of England, they only agreed to be part of this here new country as long as this here new country didn't mess with their individual colonial trade interests. Well, you know, one does not have to be no constitutional scholar to figure out that this here agreement was ultimately gonna be a recipe for future infighting and complete chaos resulting in nothing short of a civil war. And after that their civil war was over, you'd think that Congress would have ended the shit show caused by the founding fathers. But because of their underlying allegiance to that their Constitution, they didn't do jack squat. Well, they did add some minor changes called amendments, but they didn't change the fundamental flaws found in the Constitution itself. If our congressmen had any common sense, they would have reconstituted a new government that would put an end to all these geopolitical and economic squabbles that are still causing continued problems today. But in these here United States, we just can't seem to fix our problems, can we? So soon after the Constitution was ratified, those wig-wearing malcontents started expanding this country by adding what they called new states. From the original 13 colonies, they loosened their belts and expanded to 15 states, 20, 30, 40, to what we now call the 50 states. And each time they added a new state, they compounded the problem, creating more and more chaos and confusion. Just think of it, 50 states all competing with each other for the almighty federal dollar, when the only reason they needed to unite in the first place was to defeat the damn King of England. So if the British was defeated, why did we need a government with 50 separate states? I'll tell you why. So those rich folks with their constitutionally protected right to accumulate more property could continue to make big profits. Do you know of any other country in the world that has 50 separate states making up its government? This just don't make no sense. In this day and age, we need to be one nation under God, not 50 states running around like chickens with their heads cut off. If you and me put our pretty little heads together, there still may be hope for saving this here US of A. Thank y'all for listening.
Rusty Stubblefield is an unemployed certified auto mechanic and a deacon at the Church of Our Lady of Original Sin. And now, for this week's musical interlude, the Reverend Rusty Stubblefield is going to join the one and only Electric Glove Orchestra for a rockin' rendition of a Beatles classic. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with this week's conflated conspiracy theories.
I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. I'll get you anything, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. 'Cause I don't care too much for money can't buy me love.
Backbeat.
I'll give you all I've got to give if you say you love me too.
Rock and roll.
I may not have a lot to give, but what I've got I'll give to you. 'Cause I don't care too much for money can't buy me love. Can't buy me love. Can't buy me love. Can't buy me love. Yeah. No, no, no.
And we're back. In our next segment, we'll be sharing various homegrown conspiracy theories that have been developed by our staff of creative writers and novice journalists who believe first and foremost that, at the Conflation Station, anything is possible. We invite you, our listeners, to share your own homegrown conspiracy theories by sending an email to bearberrypathmusic, one word, @gmail.com. That's bearberrypathmusic, one word, @gmail.com. And place the words conspiracy theory in the subject line. Today, we will be turning our attention to conflated conspiracy theories that focus on TV reality shows and energy independence. Today's top story is entitled Bowling for Citizenship. According to sources within the Department of Homeland Security, Trump administration officials are in discussions with producer Rob Warsoff, who is known for creating shows such as Duck Dynasty and Dating Naked, to develop a game show called The American. The show would pit immigrants against each other for a chance to be placed on a fast track to becoming an American citizen. Immigrants would participate on a voluntary basis and compete against one another for the opportunity to move directly to the front of the line in the immigration and naturalization process. At the present time, the show's producers are developing a series of heritage challenges based on the state in which each immigrant currently resides. But not so fast. The Department of Homeland Security has shown an interest in hearing other ideas for the show and has received some rather unusual proposals. For example, rather than holding a competition that only involves individual immigrants, DHS is considering a proposal called Immigrant Family Feud that would feature entire immigrant families competing against each other to fill in the blanks in an America Says survey format. Another show title being considered is called IAI, or Immigrant American Idol, where contestants are judged on how well they sing the Star-Spangled Banner, God Bless the USA, and to Donald Trump's chagrin, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. Potential judges would include Ricky Martin, Gloria Estefan, and possibly Shakira. Mark Burnett, known for producing the show Survivor, has submitted a proposal for a show called Sanctuary City. Each episode of the show will feature 3 immigrants who are left to survive on the streets of Chicago with only $10 in their pockets. The show will follow the progress of each contestant for 30 days, and at the end of 1 month, the immigrant who has the most money or is still found alive will be declared the winner. While President Trump has shown his strong interest for the concept of an immigrant competition to obtain U.S. citizenship, he is currently in talks with Pat Sajak to revive his role as MC on a new show called Immigrant Wheel of Fortune. Trump has been strongly advocating for Kristi Noem to take the role made famous by Vanna White. Trump was quoted, "If Kristi can pass the Senate confirmation process, she can surely help contestants solve a word puzzle." Another possibility Trump is entertaining is a WWF competition called Immigrant Mania, with Secretary of Education Linda McMahon as host. In this show, blindfolded immigrants wrestle each other to obtain citizenship with one arm tied behind their backs. Most of all, President Trump is leaning most favorably toward another show developed by Mark Burnett called Immigrant Apprentice, where immigrants attend MAGA rallies to demonstrate their loyalty to Trump himself. Our next story focuses on President Trump's plan for America's energy independence. In a sudden reversal of his drill baby drill policy, President Trump is now taking aggressive steps to reduce America's carbon footprint. After spending last week in the Middle East, Trump is now convinced that rather than fighting left-wing radicals to limit the use of combustion engines, he has indicated that the best way to achieve energy independence and reduce global warming is to focus the Department of Transportation's full attention on using camels. That's right, camels, as America's primary mode of transportation. In a statement issued by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, she said that, and I quote, "Camels do not need gas or electricity to operate, and they could travel many, many miles under very harsh conditions without water, thus conserving one of America's most precious natural resources," end quote. Leavitt added that, for centuries, caravans of camels have been used to transport goods in the Middle East and across the globe. On Friday, President Trump directed Secretary of Commerce Jeremy Lutnick to reach out to the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Corporation to obtain the exclusive rights to their very successful Joe Camel advertising campaign. Trump said that in order to make sure that his plan goes over well, it will need the best branding available to mankind, and no one has been more successful in making cigarettes appear to be good for you than the U.S. tobacco industry. Lutnick supports Trump's idea, stating that everyone loves Joe Camel, especially when he wears those cool sunglasses. Trump has also given Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins a mandate to roll out a plan that will open 200 camel breeding farms across the country within the next 12 months. Trump is considering adopting the Depression-era slogan coined by President Herbert Hoover, "A chicken in every pot and a camel in every garage." In an unrelated story, this past weekend, a Mexican tall ship crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge in Lower Manhattan. When our team of novice reporters looked into the cause of the crash, they learned that the ship was smuggling fentanyl pills cleverly concealed within shipments of Mexican jumping beans stored in the ship's cargo hold. The plan went awry when the jumping beans got wet, causing them to hop, thus throwing the ship significantly off course, hitting the Brooklyn Bridge rather than the Manhattan Bridge as they had originally intended. Our investigation is ongoing.
Well, we've reached our destination. We'll be back next week to pick you up for yet another journey to and from the Conflation Station.